Hello, everybody. This is Beth Worsdell, author for the Witty Writers Show, and I'm here with Sahani Perera. Hello, darling.
Hi, Beth. How are you? It's really good to speak to you early morning.
I know.
Really?
I'm really guilty for everyone who's joining us right now. Poor Sahani is literally, what time is it? You're in 3 o'clock a.m.?
Yes, 3:30.
I feel so bad. But as I said to Sahini, unfortunately, we've got so many viewers in the US and in Europe. It's the only time that the majority of our viewers can actually join us. So, Sahini, you are an absolute angel for getting up at stupid o'clock to join us. I'm so grateful. Now, before we actually start, Sahini, I'm just going to quickly share us with the groups, just so people can join us and see that we are live. So,
how am I supposed to do that from my side then?
Okay, if you go to my author page, actually, do you know what? I could probably share it to your page. So,
okay, please
bear with me, and I'll see if I can do that right now. There we go. So I'm sharing it here and sharing it. I'm getting quite efficient with this. I'm getting used to it gradually. Okay, and then share. Now I've actually put group. There we go. All right. I've actually put your links underneath our stream. So hopefully people will be able to click straight on after and check out your fabulous page and everything, which will be wonderful. So I'm just looking that up. Okay, right. For whatever reason, I can't share it to you. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to share it on your timeline. So all your friends and your colleagues can see it. Oh my gosh. See, there I was bragging about how good I was at doing this, and now it's not letting me. Never mind. I will get there, darling.
It's okay.
Bear with me.
It's all
right. Copy. There we go. I'm getting there. Look, I'm on a mission now. I got you. There we go. I got you there. Oh, might be your settings. Never mind. We're here. We are here and we're doing it, Sahini. Now, just for people to know, we actually became acquainted because you actually read one of my books. And I've to say, I was so thrilled because you're such a professional. You wear so many different career hats. To get a review from you, I was absolutely thrilled. And we've just become really good friends through that, haven't we? It's been quite amazing. We got Leanna's just joined us. Hi, Leanna.
Good morning.
Darling. Now, Leanna's actually a book blogger as well. Actually in the process of writing her first novel. So it's super exciting. Yes, it's super exciting. And she's in Australia. So I don't know what time it is at your end, Leanna, but poor Sahini is up at 3 a.m., bless her, to do this interview with me. But thank you. Oh, and we've got Kristen as well. Hiya, Kristen. Thank you for joining us, my darling. It is so nice to have people joining in and just enjoying the fun. So as I was saying, we connected through you reviewing my book. And I was so taken back, Sahini, because you are, I mean, your reviews are so eloquent anyway. I mean, they're beautifully written. But you actually reached out to me and gave me some really helpful tips and advice about my book, because I was a complete new author. and you helped me greatly. So I truly, truly appreciate that. And your career has really come on leaps and bounds, hasn't it? Because you've just launched your beautiful website, which is called the Book Info, which does that runs in alongside your book blog, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. I have provided like a separate link. So like if for readers and separate for authors, where authors can, provide their review, I mean, if they want a review request, or they can go for edit, everything is in detail. And the readers who want to check out the author's book, or as in for my reviews, they specifically can link straight to my blog, which is available. And they can actually, I'm going to provide this a bit later on, that they can actually purchase the book itself with the review, where I provide the link, and they can actually purchase the book from thereupon with the review's copy.
It's absolutely wonderful. I mean, you're such an advocate for all authors, but especially new ones like myself. It is absolutely amazing. Leanna says it's 8 a.m. there right now. So bless her heart. So she hasn't had to get quite up, up quite as early as you. I feel for you.
It's quite fascinating how you can like time travel around here. It's like you read it through books, and here you are. I'm talking to you, who is still yesterday, and here there is one viewer who is right 8 o'clock in the morning, which is just on 24th. So
it's crazy, isn't it? I tell you, doing things like this, especially live, and when you're able to reach people all around the world, you're right. It is like jumping time. It's crazy. And it makes the world feel a little bit smaller, doesn't it?
Right, yes.
Now, Sahani, I want to start right from the beginning, because as I said, you're a book blogger, an editor-in-chief, you do marketing, you've got so many of these amazing skills. Have you always been fascinated with books and reading since childhood?
Wow, that's an interesting question. My reasons for getting into reading for general was actually because
bear with Sahani, because she's in Sri Lanka and it looks like the signal's gone a bit odd. So bear with Sahani. She will be back with us in a second.
Everything great.
Oh, there she goes. Sahani, are you there? Hello. Sorry, you completely froze then, darling. I'm so sorry. Could you repeat that?
I'm so sorry from my side even. Actually, the reasons for me to get involved with books or reading for general, actually because I had depression when I was a kid. And what took me out of being in depressed state was actually Harry Potter. That was like the first book that really got me into. Oh. And thanks to my friend, he was the most avid reader I have ever seen. He was so quick. And we had this particular competition with me and 3 guys in school. And to read the Harry Potter 5th book, which is around 700 pages, I believe. And they actually took just 3 days, and I took an entire month. Oh, so that was my start. That was my start.
Do you know what? I think that's absolutely lovely. And you've touched on something that I think is very relevant, especially at the moment with the pandemic going on. I shared a post about this recently. One of my neighbors actually works with people who suffer from depression, addiction, getting through therapy from abuse and all these different areas. And we were having quite a deep conversation, and he blew my mind because he said that child suicide has actually increased, like, I want to say 300%. I'm sure that's what he said. I was so blown away by what he said. And I'm a great believer that reading and doing anything creative is such good therapy for depression.
Absolutely. I would agree, because I survived that part. and I suffered for like 4 years. And here I am still today, and I still read. It does affect, especially on fiction books. Fiction books, as in fantasy books, helps a lot. But you shouldn't rely on it too much, I have to say that. Otherwise, then you start to be delusional at the end of the day, which is another worst part. So with the perfect pace, you can have it.
Yes.
I have to say it will help you out a lot, more than you think.
Yeah, I agree. And another little point that I want to make is that I don't think people realize how deeply crippling depression can be in childhood, because too many people think, you're a child, what have you got to be depressed about? They don't realize or don't remember what it's like to, one, feel so low, and two, have all these hormones pumping around your body at the same time and everything else. So I think it's quite important to acknowledge that. And I'm so happy that you found something that worked for you and that led on to a fantastic career path as well. It's fantastic. Now, we've got a few more people that has joined us. So Kristen says, coffee time for everyone. I love that. Now, I've got to quickly say, Sahani,
all right.
Kristen joined us on our last interview with Carrie, who was fantastic too. And I did say that whoever shared Carrie's interview would get a chance to win a key ring. And Kristen was our winner. So I'm going to hold this up.
Nice.
There we go. Look. So Kristen has won. She requested, I did message with her earlier, and she requested something with the dragon on. So this, Kristen, there we go.
It's really nice.
Dragon's on, and it's coming to you. And thank you very much for sharing Carrie's interview and helping her get some more exposure. I'm going to do the same again today, Sahani. This time what I'm going to do is whoever shares Sahini's interview and gives her more exposure and a beautiful new website, you will, I'm sorry, my dogs are going nuts. You will be entered into a draw to win a free ebook from me. So get sharing after we finish, get sharing Sahini's interview and you'll get entered into the draw. We've also got some more viewers. Here we go. Bonetta. Hello, Bonetta.
Hi.
There's hello, good evening and blessings. Blessings to you, my darling. And thank you again for joining us and watching. We've also got Vicky. Hi, Vicky. I'm loving these love hearts. I love love. It's nice.
It's quite evident when you write messages, but I mean, that was some reason that I've seen so unique in you. And especially when you report about the scam, about people asking about some grants or something like that in Instagram.
Yes.
It was so easy to spot on because no one talks like you. You have your own unique style of talking. So it was like, okay, this is not you. This is impossible. This is a poster. And I actually took a screenshot and I sent it to you. Blocking the person.
So awesome. Do you know what? I mean, obviously, I know I thanked you already, but I truly, truly appreciate that. And I'm sure I'm not the only one because as Sahani just said, my Instagram was cloned. Somebody tried to clone me. So I must be getting noticed if somebody wants to bother cloning me.
Yes, once in a way it's good. I mean, it kind of, showed you that you are, known and people like to get to know you, people like to be you. And yeah, it kind of, if you look at it in positively, sure.
But the only thing is, Sahani, I wish I could clone myself sometimes so that somebody else can be doing my laundry and my housework while I just do writing. That would be lovely.
Actually, your statement reminded me of Charlotte Bronte. And especially when her conversation with Anne Bronte at their home. You really need to watch. Have you watched To Walk Invisible?
I don't think I have, no.
You need to watch it. It's something I have been watching it for more than 20 times. And each time I watch that, I always learn something new. It's one of the most touched movies I have watched. And it's so explicit, like you go through deeper and you find yourself living with these people. If you are a classic lover, of course. If you're reading to that. Because pardon, there are some people who are not interested in it. I think it's because of the thick nature of writing. I always appreciated their writing style because they're just so thick. It's something which is very noticeable, even in Jane Austen. And it's so sad that you don't find people moving into them anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
Don't get me wrong. It's just that I don't find modern authors going there. I mean, that length, they would come close to reaching it, but to go there, it's like years and years of study.
Yeah, I agree. And my sister Emily is a huge fan. So and I must admit she has mentioned it before, but now both of you have said it, I've got to do it now, haven't I? And check it out.
You should, because especially for authors, it's like I find it really important when they get a lot of exposure in that, because I mean you get something to learn.
Yeah.
I mean, I got into literature when I was in high school, and it blew my mind because I learned how to, write my own, create my own style. I created my own style. I created my own ways of writing. So you find these small notes in my book, and it's just patched up. So when you just see it's all like pieces, and people just get so drawn to it. I was like, what do you have so much to write in there? People just walks in and just end up asking me that question. Why do you have so much to write?
Yeah.
So it depends on the person and the person's ability to, go forward with it, and to be so spot on to notice every single thing, even a single word, when it has a lot of things to say with it.
Yeah. See, this is why I love you so much, Sahani, because you're so knowledgeable. But the advice you gave me as well was so constructive. But you didn't tell me to change my style. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I get it.
The tips that you gave me as an author, when you read my books, it complemented my style. It didn't try and change it. And I think that's what a lot of authors struggle with, especially with working with new editors. The conversation I had this morning actually was with a wonderful author, and she tried to work with a new editor who literally wanted to rewrite her whole manuscript.
Oh, that's not good.
In the editor's style rather than hers. And I'm so glad you're not like that. Because it makes it easier for people to work with you, doesn't it?
I think one reason for that was, when it comes to your case, is because I actually read your book beforehand, before I approached to giving you advice. Yes. That is something that I have been working for a publishing firm for like more than a year now. And it's something I noticed in my case when I tend to make that same mistake, where the authors had complained or had told me that I was trying to change the style. But then I kind of realized that in certain states, it's really important to have the author's nature itself. I mean, being authentic for who they are is really important to keep it. But there are cases where you have to change it. But only thing in my case as an editor is I can provide a suggestion. I can't go ahead to change it because it's not right to change someone else's work, because that gives their identity.
Yeah.
So it's very important, as in an author's perspective, it's really important to meet that. Make sure that you produce a good thing, as in product, or as in a service for that, for author's perspective, or in product for reviewer's perspective, or reader's perspective for that matter.
Yeah, and still letting the author's personality and style shine through, which I think is a major thing, isn't it? We've got some more comments, so I'm going to click them on. We got Marcy who's just joined. Hi, Marcy. Marcy is fantastic author. Her book, The Shoebox Effect, is fantastic. What an emotional journey. It's absolutely fantastic, and she really helps people as a life coach as well. She's absolutely amazing. Kristen says definitely it's a great therapy with regards to reading. I think reading and books and art, I think they're all very therapeutic, aren't they? Oh, Leanna's got her drink. Look, she's got her tea or coffee. See, I love Leanna. She's got such a wicked sense of humor. I'm surprised it's not a margarita. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, Leanna. Leanna says, congratulations on your fantastic website. It's absolutely wonderful. Kristen, she says the key ring is so pretty. There we go. Look, it's going to be coming on the way to you. You're going to get it. She says, thank you so much. Oh, Wanda. Hi, Wanda. Thank you, darling. She says she's shared to the Writers Rock groups. Thank you so much, darling. She is absolutely amazing. And like yourself, Wanda is a massive advocate for all authors, especially new ones. And I believe Wanda is just about to publish her 4th children's book. So exciting. So exciting. Check them out. Marcy said, your aliens, Beth. Well, you need to check out books 1, 2, and 3, Marcy, because the amount of new species that I introduce in book 3 is quite mind-blowing, as Sahani can testify to, because you've read it. Sahani, that's got me on to another question, actually, because as an editor, blogger and reviewer and all the many hats that you have, what are your favorite books to read? Do you prefer the standalone books, or do you like to sink your teeth into a series or a trilogy?
That depends on the book, actually. I'm more into fantasy, younger. I'm more into fiction, actually. I don't mind any of the fictional genre, rather than being a memoir biographer on this side, because it's something I really noticed. I think one of the most difficult genres in this world to write is a fiction genre, especially the fantasy, actually, because you have to create like a whole new world from head to toe itself. It's something I noticed with Tolkien and his Lord of the Rings version, which is like a classic at the moment. You create everything newly. You create this whole new world, and world where you would want your authors to live in. So when we lead this tedious life, you work, you do your family chores and everything, you don't have the time to exactly read a complex book. You would actually appreciate a very simple book. That's why I really liked your book in the first place, Beth, because it was so simple. It was just so straightforward. And I really liked it very much for what it had to produce, but there was a lot of positive vibe in it.
Yes.
I mean, a complex book is very good when you are, enjoying your evening tea, where you can actually make your mind work. What's this? What's the author is trying to say? What's the underlying story? What she is trying to pin at, and if she's doing a really nice job with it. So that is something it depends on the person who reads and reader, and it depends on the situation that you're in. So I can't exactly pinpoint on the genre itself.
Yeah.
But I'm a person who is like exposing myself into a vast number of genres, especially on the fiction, and I wouldn't limit myself into one.
I love that about you, because when I've read your reviews, you do review a whole variety of books. And as I said, you're always so eloquent. And when you do review a book, you can see that you've really read it. You've not just skimmed it. You've actually read the whole thing, and you've absorbed it. And your reviews actually reflect that so well. It really does. And I'm with you on that, because when I wrote my trilogy, I didn't want to talk down to my readers. I didn't want to throw in words that I would not normally use and that I don't hear people use. I don't want to be a walking thesaurus or dictionary. I want people to enjoy my stories. And
something that plays of mine. It's something that I have noticed with authors that they do is, why they do that, or sometimes it's not to. I'm not saying this to hurt an author at all. In my case, when I edit a book, I always look at it in two perspectives. One is from a reader or a reviewer's perspective, and another is from the author's perspective, as in an editor. So when I look at it in two ways, I look at it as a reader if I can actually enjoy it. That's one, because it's really important a reader reads because they want to enjoy what they read. They want to learn something new in it. They want to create, or they want to diverse themselves when it comes to their imagination. So that's one. And when it comes to an editor, it's important to notice that the author has actually done a good job. And there were times in my life where I actually ended the book and I realized where the author kind of, I don't know, do they do it indirectly, that they kind of put the reader down, where they think that the reader doesn't know that the author knows what's best. Sometimes you shouldn't do that, because reader, they always tend to break it. They try to be analytical at times.
Yeah.
Some, they read it for the fun of it. Some, they really go on. Because when I speak with reviewers, as in deep, when you go to conversations, some say they don't really enjoy this particular book because it was too simple. Some say they really enjoy this because it's too complex. So I said, it depends on the nature of your preference. If you're a complex reader, you wouldn't exactly appreciate a simple book. And if you're a simple reader, you wouldn't exactly get what a complex book has to offer. So it depends on the person.
I absolutely agree with that. It's a very fine balance, isn't it, between telling somebody a story and talking down to them, and it's a very, very fine balance. And you're absolutely right, because you know I've got family members who love really complex, complicated books.
Yeah.
Me, I just can't get into that. I want to be just told a story. Like I'm sitting on my grandmother's knee and she's telling me a story. And that's how, you know, to me, that makes it a pleasurable experience. But not, as you said, not everybody enjoys that experience. They want to, you know, have their mind really engaged and want to investigate what the author's talking about. So you're right. It's a very, very fine balance, isn't it? But I tell you, as I said, your reviews are so eloquent. You can tell that you've read them all personally. I'm just going to get some more comments here. We've got Leanna. She says, I wish people would use their powers for good instead of evil. Do you know what? You're absolutely right, Leanna. And I think I've actually said this in one of my books, but nothing corrupts more than power, greed, and religion. Those are the three things that corrupt people the most, unfortunately, because you always get that small minority who want to twist things for their own benefit.
Yeah, benefit, exactly.
So you're absolutely right. And I must admit, with my books, as you know, Sahani, it could have been very easy for me to go down that path, to go down the doom, the gloom, and make it such a traumatic journey. But that's not in my nature. And with everything that's going on in the world, with, you know, the weather, the climate, and everything else that we're having to deal with, I wanted my books to be full of hope, and, you know, full of second chances.
You have nailed it. I mean, I have to tell you, really did a nice job with that. Especially with Earth Angels, you really did a nice job, because it gave in a lot of positivity in it. And I was really drawn into that, especially in a time where a lot of racism issues are going on. You get a lot of discrimination, and boy, oh boy. Yes.
Yeah, and that was another thing.
Sad. It's actually quite sad. Really sad.
That's another thing, and I'm sure you remember this. I think after you've written three big books, it's hard to remember where you've put certain things. but in one of my, I think it might have been in book one actually, and I said, you know, we had finally gained world peace, but at this point, you know, it doesn't make any of us feel any better, you know. So it is a case of, you know, trying to change people's attitudes and outlooks now, isn't it, rather than later on. Kristen says, oh, that's amazing. I think she means about her key ring. I think she's excited, bless her. Vicky says, amen to that. Thank you for joining us, Vicky. Kristen says, wow, that's such amazing advice. So she's on board with what you're saying exactly, Sahani. Marcy says, hi, Beth. Hello, darling. I'm so glad she got to join us today. Marcy says she will check out your website, Sahani.
Thank you. That
is awesome. It is beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. Oh, Wanda says, no, she's on number 6. She is amazing. What an inspiration. So not only is she, you know, created the Writers Rock group and and she works full time, but she's now on book 6 as well. She's on fire. She's on fire, that woman. Wanda says, pleased to meet you, Sahani.
Pleased to meet you too.
She is so lovely. Right, okay. Leanna says, oh no, I hope she doesn't rewrite her book. Be authentic to your own self. How are we as readers supposed to get to know a new author if they write in a style of someone? Yeah, so she's talking about the lady I spoke to this morning. We are all different and have different writing styles, and you should shine. And should shine our words as bright as we can. I absolutely agree with you, Leanna, and I know Sahani does as well. We do have our individual voices, isn't it? As a book reviewer and editor, that must really interest you.
It really is. It's actually quite interesting how people put things together. I mean, you bring out your own creativity, you bring out your own ideas, and you put it specifically into words.
Yeah.
Which is not easy at all. And to maintain the flow of being very descriptive and the flow of your thought, for that matter, very nice. It really is. It kind of makes me think, like, how could you come to this? I mean, how people's minds work.
Yeah.
It's really impressive, especially when the authors have something positive to give in these days.
Yeah. Oh, I absolutely agree. And I'm a massive Harry Potter fan too. But I don't care who knows it. I got into Harry Potter because at the time when J.K. Rowling came out and exploded onto the literary scene, my children were young. You know, they were all in sort of elementary, middle school and stuff. And of course, all of a sudden, Harry Potter was all in the book fairs at schools and, you know, the local libraries. So I ended up having to read them to my children. Well, as soon as I started reading book 1, I was hooked because I love fantasy. And it's they're so well written. J.K. Rowling, I think I admire her so much as an author.
Do you know, as Beth, do you know that her manuscript was actually rejected around 11 times?
Yes.
I know. I mean, I was like, wow, she's been rejected like 11 times. And at the end of the day, it became like the world sensation. I mean, you could see yourself it becoming a classic in the young adult genre at the end of the day. I mean, everyone reads it. They pass it on to their children as well. So, I mean, we read the first editions and we have the first editions. We know it has a good value to it and we keep it on for now. So it's really nice when people actually do that. Then they really want to share what they had with their next generation as well. So
yeah, absolutely, really absolutely. And I've got to say that the last of the Harry Potter series books that came out, my husband and I were actually on vacation in France with my family, with our children, and I was absolutely gutted because the release date was after we left for France, and I was so heartbroken. So my husband, bless him, drove around all these French towns, specifically trying to get me an English copy of Harry Potter, the last book. And then
actually, the last book of Harry Potter was my birthday present. So yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was the best.
Well, my husband came back from the shops and he said, there you go, darling, I've bought it for you. He said, by the way, I read the last few pages. He dies. I said, you're evil.
That's bad. That's so bad. You don't go pulling a stunt like that. Like, he died.
Honestly, I could have wrung his neck. I mean, it's funny, but I could have wrung his neck. Okay, we've got some more comments here. Let's have a look. There we go. Wanda says, oh, she agrees with Leanna that my friend should not completely redo a manuscript. I agree. Vicky says, oh, she had a horrible experience with an editor that didn't understand the Southern way of speaking. Now, I've got to say, that's the one thing you truly understand, because, I mean, I'm English. I live in America. Most of my books are sold in America. You're in Sri Lanka. And yet you still, when you reviewed my books, you still understood that I was an English author, and you read it as such. And I was so impressed with that. I really, really was. Because I've had reviews from people who don't realize I'm English and yet think that I'm making a grammar mistake or misspelling a word, but I'm not. It's because I'm English. But you understood that straight away, Sahani. Is that something that you spot straight away when you're reviewing a new book?
Well, one thing for that is I had to give, I had to compliment my education for that, because my high school education was all done through Cambridge. So
Wow.
I'm familiar with, when it comes to UK style. It's actually the American that I'm not familiar with, which I'm learning at the moment, because I work for States. I work for a publishing in the States. So I am learning both of them, trying to find the differences between the UK and the US. But since you brought that out, I would really like to share about a certain experience that I'm having currently, that I'm reading a particular book of. There is a book that I'm reading, and the author is really famous. Everyone would know if you say him. When you read that book, you can, if someone who is not familiar with it would find that it's like a huge mistake. But if you really notice the hints, such as the name of the particular character is completely British, and the use of particular terminology, especially when it comes to the mixed dialects, which I always notice, and the mixed dialects are in English, then you realize that he is bringing this from a British perspective, not from an American perspective.
Right.
So if you really notice that, you would know, okay, so he's bringing the British authenticity, and that there is nothing wrong with it. And if someone who is not familiar with that would notice that, okay, this person has really done a mistake over here. Okay. You really need that key elements to notice them if you are actually if you are moving forward with that with the read. Sorry.
Yes.
So
I understand what you mean. Yeah.
When it comes to your case, Beth, since you're a British writer, you are always like comfortable with your nativity, and that's perfectly understandable. My reasons of saying that it's important for you to have an edit, as in to go through an entire manuscript edit, is because there are certain places where you actually can improve. It was beautiful. There had a beautiful flow regardless of the issues, and since it has a beautiful flow, as a reviewer or editors in myself, I could actually skip the errors and go ahead with it.
Yeah.
So that was like one very nice part I could actually, observe in your writing. And that was something that you can notice in most most authors. But there are some cases where you really get pissed off with the protagonist. You kind of question, my God, how stupid can people get sometimes? If I'm really going bland, especially when it comes to the protagonist. It's important that the protagonist has something to offer.
Yeah.
You read for the enjoyment, but it's really important because a protagonist, a certain character is given a protagonist for a reason. And when it's like that, it's really important that a protagonist has to have something to offer.
Yeah. Yeah, the reader gets something out of it, whether it's, massive twist or huge character flaws, something. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. We've got some more comments, darling. So, there we go. Kristen says, it's amazing to meet you, Sahani. She says, I can't wait to check out your website and everything else. Kristen is an author as well. She's done a few anthologies. And she's also publishing her first novel in the new year. So super exciting. Leanna says, would it be possible to post your links to your blog and website, Sahani? She'd like to share them on her blog for you. So and that is fantastic. Leanna, double check, darling, because I think in the description and everything for our show, they should all be there. They may not show up now because we're still live, But after we finish and it's up there and posted, I think I've put everything on there. So I think it's all done. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I'm trying to be organized, Sahani. I'm getting there.
You're doing wonderful. You're doing a wonderful job as you are at the moment.
Thank you, darling. Now we've discussed your, obviously your many roles, which is fantastic, because I mean you've got such an amazing reputation. It's just absolutely wonderful, and I can truly understand why. Oh, by the way, Sahani, I think you are on Goodreads as well, aren't you?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So do connect with Sahani on a website, blog, and Goodreads and everywhere. Leanna says cool. She will check it out. Awesome. Now let's talk about you as just a normal person.
All right.
What would you say has been the most impactful book that you've read throughout, not just personally, but career-wise? What book has actually, touched you the most?
Wow, that's quite interesting. Honestly, Beth, I haven't read a single book that have made me cry.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, did you hear?
I haven't read.
Okay, viewers, you need to do some book recommendations for Sahani, because she wants a tearjerker. So we need to give her a good tearjerker. I must admit, I'm trying to think. I don't think I have actually. Do you know? I mean, there's been a number of movies that have made me cry. No, I tell a lie. Sahani. I tell you what book did make me cry. It was Stephen King's The Green Mile.
I did watch The Green Mile.
Oh,
yes.
The book made me cry. When John Coffey gets executed, knowing that he was innocent and a good man, I sobbed like a baby. I was reading this book and I was heartbroken. But
I had to be honest. I have to make a confession. I haven't read the book, and I actually watched the movie because I noticed that it was like it was an eye-catching and everything, and it was like prison fiction, and it was something really new. And when it comes to specifically his death, it was really moving. I'm like, oh my God, what just happened? But then if you really think about it, such things do take place.
Yeah, well, especially
innocent. I'm sorry?
Especially in those days as well.
Yeah. Such things do take place. It's
definitely need to read the book. It was amazing. And do you know what? It was one of the few movies that actually nailed the book. The character casting, the whole thing, the whole movie was such a good version of the books. I was blown away, and I love Tom Hanks anyway. I think he's absolutely amazing.
I am also a huge fan of Tom Hanks. Yes,
he is an amazing actor. Kristen said tearjerker, huh? Yes, Kristen, you need a bloody good tearjerker. Get those emotional juices flowing, I think. There was one I read as a child, and somebody posted about it recently, The Outsider. That's quite an old book. I read that at school, The Outsider. And Tom Cruise actually played one of the characters when he was a young teenager in the movie version. And that was another one that actually did a great movie version. But The Outsiders was a very, very good book to read. As I said, it's a bit of an oldie. I can say that because I'm going to be 50 next year. I feel like I'm not oldie at the moment. But that was another good book that got me quite emotional, because it was to do with basically teenage friends who were pretty much a family. They all had their own individual stories, and it was fantastic. But yeah, it was really good. So Kristen said, Kristen's sweating now. She's trying to think of a tearjerker book for us. I love it. I love it. Leanna says, I've read a few books that have made me cry so hard I gave myself a headache. Oh, that's when you know they're really good, isn't it? She says,
Yes,
Green Mile gutted me. I haven't read the book because the movie was enough for me.
Exactly.
Kill her. The book was so emotional because that's the thing, isn't it? When you read the book, you go at your own pace. And I don't know about you, but you almost prolong your own agony. Do you know what I mean? Because when you're watching a movie, it's completely different. You can't control the speed of the movie. You know, you may be able to fast forward, rewind, and pause, but the pacing of the movie is set. You can't change that. But when you're reading the original book, you know, you can just take your time and just savor the agony of the story when it's an emotional one.
It's such a good heart. You have a really good heart that you just doesn't want to get over there. Like, you know it's agonizing, and you just either read it really fast because you just want to skip the pain, or you just take it slow within like a day or day, and pass it on and see. Okay, now I feel really good.
Yes, I absolutely agree with you, and it's so funny that books have that power, doesn't it? Well, it's not the books, it's the author. It's amazing how different authors can hold that power over you as you're actually reading. I tell you, it's amazing. I think we got one more. Yeah, one more comment from Bonetta. She says, thank you so much, and I will look out for your link as well. I would love to support you if you have Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Blessings to you beyond measure. Thank you, Bernetta. Luckily, Sahani is everywhere. She's very popular, you know. She's on Instagram, Facebook. She's got a book blog and a website. You can stalk her as much as you like. And as I said, your reviews are so informative, and you can really tell that you've taken your time to read all the books. It's just absolutely amazing. Sahani, our time is coming to an end, darling. You've been an absolute joy to talk to, and we were saying this before we came live. You know, we only sort of connected through my book, and yet it feels like we've been friends forever. I think it's absolutely wonderful.
It's actually one very important thing, Beth, when it comes to me working with an editor, as in working with an author as an editor. I really want to maintain a very good relationship with the author, not because of anything. That would give me a clear insight to what the author's personality is. Because an author's personality reflects on her books, on his or her books.
Yeah.
So when it's like that, it's really important, especially on an editor, and I have noticed a lot of editors actually make this mistake. They don't take their time to get through an author, to understand that author, just because of time or just because of the finances, personal reasons for people. In my case, no matter how much you want to get the book done and really fast, I would never go to it, because it's really important to get to know the author in person to do the justice to the book. Well, if you don't know who your author is, then there is friction between both the author and the editor, because it's really important that either party actually maintain a very good relationship.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And I think especially if you find a really good editor like yourself, it's good to have that good relationship, because you want it to be a long-term thing. You know, very few authors who are driven only publish one book. You know, they're publishing one book, but they've already got another 2 or 3 on the go that they want to do next. So as you said, it's so important to have that good relationship with your editor, so that you are prepping for the next one. You do understand that that author's style of writing, their accent, their mannerisms that they put into their work. You are absolutely right. And funnily enough, I saw a post in one of the writer groups that I'm in, And this lady was saying the same thing. She, as an author, she didn't feel like she was getting that connection, that healthy, happy working relationship. And I think, you know, when you're doing something so personal, writing and editing a creation, it's important to have a happy relationship, because I mean, it makes it just go so much better and so much nicer and a more enjoyable experience. And you don't publish a book with a bad taste in your mouth then.
Yes, it's utmost important, actually, Beth. It's really utmost important. Very, you can write a very incomplete capitalization because it's that important.
Yeah.
You need that. You really need that, because if you don't have that, no matter how much good your writing is, it's not going to go anywhere.
No, it needs to be.
It's something I notice with, like, personally. It's something I notice with personal experiences. Yeah. I mean, no matter how much, you should have the ability to talk. You should have the ability to converse with the person, to tell, okay, this is the real thing, and to make sure that the author, I mean, as an editor or a reviewer, you should have the ability of providing a criticism that doesn't hurt the author, but make sure that the author has the ability to accept that criticism, that there is such a thing. And the author should have the ability to see it as well. Yeah, that's the difference, is you are very constructive, and you try and help. And I think that's a huge thing, because that's very, very hard to find. We've got one last comment. Leanna says, I agree. You know how wonderful a writer is when they can pull such emotional turmoil out in a reader with the words, and they write to describe certain characters and situations. Absolutely, absolutely. I'm just going to get these quick last comments in, Sahani, before we finish. Kristen says, I think that's amazing for an editor. I agree. That's why Sahini's so popular. And oh, hi, Joseph. Thank you for joining us, darling. He says, totally excellent, Beth and Sahani. Pithy, chunky, and deeply satisfying interview. Sumptuous, toothsome, and much more. I think that's the best comment I've ever had. Thank you, Joseph. I'm so glad you joined us. Sahani, you are absolutely fantastic. It's been an absolute pleasure. Bernetta says, definitely an incredible interview, and I absolutely agree. You've been wonderful, wonderful. Now, as I said, the same thing I'm going to do this week, Sahani. Anybody who shares your interview and gets you more exposure for your website launch and everything else that's all excitingly happening, they will go into a draw to win a free ebook from me. So they must share it and tag me so I can see that they've done it, so they get entered into the draw. It's been an absolute pleasure, Sahani. I can't wait till you check out my next series. Love to. Which I'm working on right now. I'm super excited. I can't wait to share that with you. Thank you so much for joining me. You're most my pleasure. It really is. It truly was, actually. Everybody, please check out Sahani's links and new website and everything else. And I think I might have another interview next Thursday. Let me just quickly check on my calendar, because I'm trying to be all efficient here and organized. Let me just go to my page, get my events up. There we go. Oh, so the next one is on Monday, with a very nice poet called Frank Prem. And I've got a bit of a soft spot for poetry. Actually, Sahani, because I've written poetry since I was a child. So I'm actually really looking forward to it. So I hope I'm not sure whether you'll be able to join me, because it'll be 3 o'clock in the morning your end. Sahani, I love you to bits. You are absolutely amazing. I'm going to let you go back to bed if you can, because, you know, it's still pitch black at your end. But thank you. Thank you for joining me. Please stay safe during the pandemic. I know it's quite bad where you are at the moment. So my heart and love is with you and your wonderful family. And hopefully we'll be able to do another interview in the new year and catch up again. Yes, I'm looking forward to it, Beth. please stay safe and stay safe everyone else as well who is watching this.
Thank you so much, darling. I appreciate you. And I've gone. Bear with me 1 second. I've gone. There we go. I got interrupted then. I do apologize. But listen, love to everybody. Happy Thanksgiving to you all. Stay safe and well. And we will see you again very soon. Bye everyone.
Take care.
Bye.